all the viewers and subscribers of Jesilia Digital Ministries. And through Jesilia Digital Ministries, friends, you all know that on each Wednesday we are doing an English book review program called Pen, Mic and Swords. Today we are coming to you quickly at 8 p.m. And it's a great privilege that God has been doing to us that we were able to complete almost 86 episodes. So we have done reviews of almost 86 books, and we have been doing reviews of n number of books from different genres. We do even children's story books, secular books, and mostly we give importance to spiritual books. As children of God, not only reading the Bible, but we also need to read many good spiritual books so that we can gain the knowledge and we can understand the different perspectives of different doctrines on say for that matter all the authors of these books are from the different parts of the world. So getting to know the author, his perspective, and we get our own inspiration, own insights. And in future days, after having so many book reviews, reading so many books, a day will come when we can write our own write up, we can write a book, we can publish it, because this pen is a very important tool for humankind. With our pen we can do mighty things. It is actually mightier than this words. So with that purpose, this book review has been going for the last 1.5 years. God has been really gracious with us, that he has made us possible, that he has given us so many good book reviewers who takes time from the busy schedule, read a book, brings it review to you, so that you can opt for that book, read it, and gain the knowledge. So the book today which we are going to do is the end near. What Jesus told about the last days by Michael Youssef. So we are in the last times, and there are so many changes happening in the world around us, not only politically, in each and every spheres of the life. There are a lot of changes happening in lot of investigations. Whatever the geologists has been finding about our planet Earth, they all are pointing to the same thing, that a great destruction is going to occur in this earth. So let's see what this book wants to say. And this book is going to be presented by Brother Joseph Yesuvadian. We all know about Joseph. Joseph is a very good book reviewer, good reader, good preacher, and is also involved in many ministries, in youth ministries, in church ministries. God has been equipping him and using him. So we are going to hear a great review from Joseph today. So without much delay, I would like to turn the podium to Joseph to give you some review. Over to
Yeah.
Joseph.
So thank you, Jemima, for this opportunity. And thank you, everyone, for the ones who are connected online or the ones who will be seeing it later. So every time we've been given a chance, so I always believe that this is an opportunity that is given to us to read a book and come and present it, uh, because amidst of our busy schedules, I think it becomes at times it becomes very difficult for us to focus and probably uh, pick up and then do something which is out of our normal professional life. And it would not be possible until and unless someone is there on our back and pushing us and then helping us navigate through this. So thank you, Jamaica, for doing that, and I think you are consistently doing that, and I'm happy to see the 86th episode. So that's such a remarkable number of episodes that we have done, and I believe that God will continue to use this platform, and then would continue to go and touch people, and then this will be used for His glory. So thank you for this opportunity once again. So the book that as introduced, the book name is the end near, and what Jesus told about the last days. This book is written by Michael Youssef. Michael Youssef is a pastor, and he's quite a um, well aged or well experienced pastor. He's born in Egypt, but I think he got his American citizenship, and then there he continued his rest of his journey. And so it's like he has worked in certain institute. He has done evangelism. He has written more than 50 books. He has his own church. He has his own ministry, and he's a founding pastor of the Church of Apostles in Atlanta. And so in overall, if you see, he's a PhD in social anthropology. And so in overall, if you see, he's one of the a senior leader, I would say, a senior pastor who has contributed to this book. He has written more than 50 books, so that itself is a remarkable one, wherein he is, that shows he has a great contribution when it comes to books. So the title of the book is The End Near. Was like, I had picked up among the other choices that I was given. One of the reason, because we are in the end timelines, is what I believe. And I believe this stream has already broadcasted multiple episodes on, and reviewed multiple books on the end timelines. But this is specifically about the Matthew chapter 24. So what Michael Youssef, the author, wants to bring here is like, what exactly, what is the viewpoint of Jesus, is he's what he wanted to bring out. And he has only taken one chapter, Matthew 24, and using that chapter he has linked all the events that had happened in the world, that is happening in the world. And looking at all the events, he has forecasted that that the end is very, very near. The end is near. So the question, the book name is the end near? If you want a one word answer, it is yes. Yes, the end is near. And that's how the book navigates, and then takes us through uh, uh, different chapters. So if you will actually see, this book has around 7 chapters, or 8 chapters rather, I would say. um, uh, Wherein it addresses, it shows, it takes us through a journey of what are the events that are happening in the world. And the author is trying to relate the biblical verse with the events that are happening in the world, and then trying to give us a very clear picture of, see, this is how we can relate to this. And the areas wherein he is not very sure, he has given multiple options, that this can also happen, this can also happen, this can also happen, looking at the particular scenario. And then based on that, he has given uh, his own interpretation out of it. But he is not, the one good thing is, the author is not forcing his opinion on any of them, but he has kept that thing open, looking into the options, looking into the things that is going into the world. So first thing, as I said, is the end near? If you'll ask, yes, the end is very, very near. Mainly, one of the key stories that you will see continuously repeating in this book is the war that has happened between Ukraine and Russia, because that the author has used it multiple times, uh, and then has shown how this is one of the early indicators. Obviously, COVID-19 also he has used, COVID-19 situation that we had already seen. Um, Apart from that, Ukraine-Russia war is something that the author has repeatedly used. We know the Bible already talks about in chapter, Daniel chapter. If you'll read in chapters of Daniel, wherein if you will see specific, there are two books. One is Daniel, and another is Matthew. It specifically talks about the end times, and the prophecies that are written in the chapter of Daniel, wherein it specifically talks about the Gog and Magog, the provinces of the north. And then the author literally goes out to say that now that can be, that is highly Russia, because there is nothing in the north of Russia. It's like, just you just have the northern region, the northern clad, the snows and everything. After that, you don't have anything. So that's the reason he wants to say, if anything. So, and then it says the things will start from there. So that's the reason he continuously links Russia and Ukraine war specifically. And then, is the end near? The author cites wars and rumors of wars, inflation, scarcity, and famine that is happening, and then a bag with holes in it, because we know Jesus specifically talks about you're having a bag, and then if you have holes in it, right? So it's so that the author has related to the inflation. So even though we have so much of jobs, even though we have so much of thing that is going into the world, but since we'll also see the inflation rate is also going high, it means what? The more we are earning, the more the rate of the products are also increasing. It's like it's as good as you are having a hole in the bag. You try to fill, but still there are leakages. So he tried to relate it and show, and then he has shown what happened during this time, what happened in 2022, what happened in 2021, what happened in 2019, what are the events that have happened that has triggered this. So what I would request to the viewers is like these details probably you can go back and then read specific ones to try to understand how the author is trying to relate this. And then apart from that, uh, is it not going to end? Is what it's not going to end is what he says. The Ukraine-Russia war. So the author cites how this war, like what are the like one of the things that he has read through different journals, different press, like and then different people talking about it. One thing that he said, is this war going to end? Because there are predictions that when the Ukraine-Russia war started, there is prediction that it will get over in 72 days. Someone said it will get over in a year, but we know it till now the war is not over. Till now it is continuing. Till now we know Donald Trump is coming in between, trying to at least have a peace talks between them and trying to seize it, but still it is not over. So the thing that the author wanted to say is this is not going to end because this is an end timelines. So that's the reason the author is speaking that. And then the author also says, amidst of all this, the author says that the good news is that it is he. And then one thing is that this book does not tries to instigate fear or put a panic in anyone's mind. So the book is very comprehensive from the fact that it wants to very clearly put out saying that hey, the end time is near, you cannot waste time, you have to get ready, because there are a lot of signs that are happening. You have to be very much cautious. On the other side, the book is not trying to instigate fear saying that like you will lose it out, you might lose it out. No. So the author also gives us a ray of hope by saying that this is not our world, this is not our ultimate home, this world is eventually going to come to an end, so we have to be definitely prepared for these times. So this is how the author starts. And then the chapter 2, if you'll move, this is interesting, wherein like we know there is a chapter wherein like Jesus talks about that it will be like a labor pain because which comes sudden. And then the end times when Jesus talks about it. And I think this is one of the uh, what I can say analogy that Jesus uses, that uh, during the end time we will have this like beginning of sorrows, beginning of labor pains, and then all these things will happen. And then here author cites 6 different types of labor pains. uh, so that's what the author wants to bring here. So one thing is like we know when we have a when I think when a woman has a labor pain, it's an indication that the time has arrived. It's an indication that now we don't have time. It's an indication that now the baby is going to come out, and then and the labor pain goes for a particular duration. And then I think every time we go to the doctor, the first thing before the end step is, are you getting the labor pain or not? I think that's the thing in which doctor evaluates on. So that's the one which author has clearly shown. There are 6 kind of labor pains that is already happening. The first pain he calls it as falsehood and deception. This is the author cites it as a pain because that's a literal pain that has happened into the Christian community, wherein he has said how in the end times there are people of God, men of God, who are rising up and who are deceiving people like anything. And then during these times, we can literally see, on one side, it becomes very easy for everyone to go and then see, understanding that or seeing that so many sermons are there in the YouTube. But actually, if you'll see, we have to be very very cautious. There was a time where like we did not have this resource, but right now the resource is so plenty that we have to be very cautious, filter it out, and understand that we are not a part of any kind of deception. But so filtering that out is very important. So he's telling this is a kind of a pain. He's citing this as one of the labor pains. Second labor pain, he said wars and rumors of wars. That we have already seen. The wars are already happening. Rumors of war is also happening a lot. Israel is telling, "I'll attack you. I'll Israel and Syria attacks," and we see Ukraine and Russia happening. There are countries which are threatening other countries. So these are also indication. And then one might think, okay, but then this might also be that Jesus coming soon is this is being preached since last 2000 years, and then how can you say that now it is going to happen? But we know that when this was announced by Apostle Paul or different apostles, we know that the situation at that time was not as serious as the situation at these times right now. Um, we might also be our world has already seen two kind of world wars. One is World War One and World War Two. Okay, but now that we see so many other signs, so this is becoming a more of a confirmation that this is the end times are near. And then the communist the communist death rat, and I mean how China, he wants to say how China is emerging as a communist country, how it is eventually creating a system wherein other countries have to depend on it in terms of cheap labor force, in terms of, because if you actually go back and then see whatever mobile that you buy, you will only see it is written made in China. One of the primary reasons it is written made in China, even if I'm talking about even iPhones, one of the reason is because China has the cheapest labor force. So if you want to manufacture a phone, and if you want to it around a cost, if you want to reduce the cost of it, you will have to go and source it to a country which will make it in a cheaper way and give it to you. Right now, China has that facility. So China is like one of the solid country in terms of manufacturing abilities and in terms of the labor that they have. So it's like these communist countries are eventually trying to set a trap around. So that's what he wants to say. And then he's like, eventually the author said all the big American countries, they are going back and they're investing so much of amount in the communist country, and then eventually that they are funding up and building up for the last days of Armageddon. Army is going to rise up from there. So that's how the author connected it. And then the third labor pain the other cites is about famines and earthquakes, which is already there in place. A lot of earthquakes are already happening. Famines is already there. Already we have so many countries that are going. And then he says, after pandemic, if you see so many countries, finance and their economies were affected severely. So which eventually led to these kind of situations. And the next one's fourth labor pain he wanted to cite is believers will be hated, which is already happening. We are seeing in our country only it's happening. People are being hated, Christians are being persecuted, and and then we see the extent to which it is happening now is more as compared to what used to happen earlier. Even if you go back and then see 30, 40 years or 50 years by when our parents came to Christ, that time going out and preaching on and distributing tracts or talking about Christ was so easy as compared to now. Now if you go, they are finding out every reason to hijack us and then throw us into the jail, unless and until we have to be very cautious. And then we have to use our intelligence in a way that we have to put it in a very subtle way, or probably do it in a fashion which they can't hold us off. So one thing I clearly remember, one of the personal examples that we had seen is that when we do carol service in specifically NJC Thane, because since I was a part of it, so that's the reason I want to cite that as example. I know other branches are also conducting NJC. Other branches of NJC are also they are also conducting carols. So what we do is that we know during carols, we know one thing that we have to do is like we cannot continue to portray the Santa Claus as a Jesus Christ, right? But on the other hand, we also have to use Santa Claus because to attract little children, to bring people, to bring their attention. So what we are two things we are very conscious of is that we know during Christmas carols, even if we distribute tracts, no one would offend us, no one would say anything, because they know it's a month of celebration for Christians. So what we had done is that I think we had distributed more than 1,000 tracts across during that 2 or 3 days of Christmas carols. And I still remember using Santa Claus as a bait. I still remember we in my building there was an entire community came down because all the children, they just wanted to take photo with Santa Claus. That was the only agenda. They're like, we don't want to, we don't want anything. We just want Santa Claus. So we had to use it as a bait. And the moment Santa Claus arrived, we made everyone settle down. And at that point of time, we spoke about Jesus. And then we said, Jesus came down and he died for you. So as he said, Christmas, and then we explained it to them, Christmas is not about Santa Claus, it's about Jesus. So that's how we used it. So what I eventually wanted to tell you is like all these ways we have to think to put forward the message across the world or in our own community. And this was not the case 30, 40, 50 years back. 30, 40, 50 years back, it was pretty much easy, I believe, as compared to what we are seeing right now. So this is one of the things. And then fifth labor pain is said is the they talk about is like apostasy, wherein there it's like people are renouncing their own religious or political belief. So that's the meaning of the word. I have also recently seen, if you will actually see, uh, there are a lot of states in our country wherein like they are forcing people that you cannot do conversion and all. Out of fear, so many people have renounced their faith, saying that we don't want to follow Christ out of fear. They went back and then again accepted their original ones, original um, what I would say, their religion, and they have renounced their faith. I think that is very sad. So I think those these things are happening now. Another thing is global evangelization that has already started. So the author is citing that also as a labor pain. So he's like, all these pains are a sign that the child is going to come out. So all these six pains he has shown, so showing that you looking at the six pains, it is very clear that the end is very near. The child is going to come out. So that's what the author related of the labor pain which Christ has quoted uh, versus what is happening into the world, which is eventually leading to the end times. And uh, and then later again, there's one another chapter wherein the author talks about those days versus that day, wherein when Jesus talks about if you read through it again, as I told you, it's all related to Matthew chapter 24, wherein Jesus talks about and then gives them certain instructions that in the end these things are going to happen. So the author says that what what are the things that happened during the time of Jesus, because the moment Jesus died, there was an attack on Jerusalem. All the people were scattered. So that was one phase, and the second phase is the end time that is coming. So the author eventually talks about what is pre-tribulation, what is mid-tribulation, what is post-tribulation, and then he places that argument between them. When will the church will be taken? Because some people believe that it will be taken during pre-tribulation, some will say that it will be during mid-tribulation, some will say that it will be post-tribulation. So the author does not go back and then fights over saying that okay, only this will happen. No, he tries to put his view. He tries to bring out different uh, viewpoints, and he says that it is up to you. But it's like the only thing that you have to do is you have to be ready. No matter whether it's happening pre-tribulation, the rapture is happening pre-tribulation or mid-tribulation or post-tribulation. The only thing is like how we have to prepare ourselves. So that is one thing. And then uh, urgency of evangelism, and then what is the chaos and confusion, and what are the signs that we are seeing in the sky, and all these things. If you'll see, the author is taking again examples of what is happening in the world and then showing, okay, these things are written in Matthew chapter 24, and these are the signs that we can see related to this. So that's how the author confirms that the end is quite near. And the next chapter that we will see is like the final sign, wherein like the signs in the heavens. And so here the author also goes to uh, the uh, the NASA's, what are the things that they are doing, and to protect planet Earth from bombardment from asteroids, what are things that they have done, and what are their ongoing projects that are going on. So what he wants to say is that NASA is able to pick up that these things are going to happen, and that's how it wants to build a system to protect the Earth. So what he eventually wants to say that these are also a sign. These are also signs in heaven which these guys are able to pick up. And they have their own dedicated project to solve that. So it's like these kind of projects were not there earlier, but now they have these kind of projects because they are able to identify, okay, these kind of things might happen, so we have to prepare for it. So that's one thing. And then the author also uses the examples of parable of fig tree, and then he tries to give a comparison of like what how can we relate it to today's scenario. And another thing that the author highlights is the Noah's imperative. We know Noah's imperative is again uh, is another thing that is definitely going to happen, because Jesus said, as it happened in the days of Noah, so it's going to happen even in the end times. And we know what happened during the days of Noah. We know uh, to what extent the evil had increased on the earth. And then that goes from accumulation of knowledge, that goes from shedding of innocent blood, that goes of destruction of innocent souls, that goes on to abolition of the family, and eating, drinking, and marrying. All these things happened during the times of Noah. Because we will actually go back and see Genesis chapter 6. So we know that one of the prime reasons was, like, we know, the angels of the God, they had slept with the women in the earth, eventually giving birth to giants, which are normally called as Nephilims. We know. So when they came into the earth, they created total destruction and chaos. There was shedding of blood. There were so many things. There were eating, marrying, and drinking, and so many things going on. If we look at in today's scenario, the same is happening. So that's what the author wanted to say. The author wanted to say that right now, if you will see, there is no set alignment on who will marry whom. There is no rules in the earth, or there is nothing guiding principle. There's any chaos is happening. Anyone is marrying anyone. Anyone is having a sexual relationship with anyone, and uh, uh, the shedding of blood is happening like crazily. Anyone is murdering anyone. So it's like, even though we have all the systems, even though we have all the judiciary system, and so, and we going, like, when we're thinking about this, even I was thinking, what even during the time of Noah, there was system, there were people, there was a justice system, there every system was there even during that point of time. But still we know that, uh, because the level of sin has increased to this extent, wherein they were like, I would say the amount of sin was so high that God had to take that call. So what the author wanted to say is that that the current situation is also looking like that we are doing everything that is happening in the earlier days. So for us now, that Noah is a Jesus Christ, in whom we have to go and take that shelter to escape these end times. So that's what the author wanted to say. And then the another chapter wherein author wanted to talk about was like sudden and unexpected. He's like, how there are certain things that is expected to happen, because Jesus gave a parable of thief in the night. You know, thieves are not someone who will come and inform anything. That happens very suddenly. That comes as a surprise to anyone at their home. So in the similar way, he said, in the similar way, the coming of the Christ would be. So it's like, you cannot say the Christ will come at this time or that time, but it's going to be a sudden decision. And then after that, the author talks about the great separation. You know, when he talks about great separation, he takes the examples of the 10 virgins. And we know, when 10 virgins, many people still thinks about that 10 virgins, the foolish ones are the unbelievers, but it's not like that. The foolish ones is specifically about the people in the church who know Jesus Christ but who do not walk, who are namesake Christians. Because again, this is my personal belief. This is not the author has mentioned, because it specifically calls all of them as virgins. When it calls all of them about virgins, it means that they had done their part. They had consecrated. They had kept their virginity intact. It means they are Christians. It means they had paid that price to ensure that at least we are Christians. But just being a Christian is not going to be enough. Just accepting a savior as a Jesus Christ as a savior is not going to be enough. So is are we ready? So the author very nicely gives one example as well. In those days, when the sailors and all, they used to come. So it's like, what happens is that when when once they go, they'll be out there for months, and their entire wife and children, everyone will be there. So he says, one of the sailor. So what happened is that all of their wives and everyone came, but one because the moment the ship will arrive, all their entire family will come and stand in the shore, so that the moment the sailor will look, they'll be there to welcome. But this one family, this one wife was not there. So the sailor got tensed. Now no, not the sailor, the people in the ship, the ones. So he got tense, saying that, what happened to my wife? She's not there. Is she well? Or is she sick? Is she even alive? Because I don't know what happened, because they'll be out for that months. But later, suddenly her wife turns out, and then he's concerned. Then what eventually the author wants to say, the author wanted to tell is that The wife is available. Uh, she's available, but she's not being watchful. So what the author wanted to tell is that, okay, we might be a Christian, we might have accepted Jesus Christ, but the question is, are we intentionally watchful of when his return is going to be? So that's what he. So in this way, he connects the 10 virgins, saying that all the 10 virgins are Christians. All the 10 virgins know about Jesus Christ. But are they a namesake Christian? Are they ready? Are they being watchful? Is what beautifully the author portrays. And I think you can read that. And then, so the author uses certain examples to highlight this. And then bags of gold, we know uh, how the master gives the bags of gold to his servants, and then when he returns, he expects them, so that they're expecting that his servants would multiply it. And then uh, eventually the author talks about the sheep and the goats in the end time, and how the sheep are going to be separated from the goats, and he gives a beautiful example. It's like, why didn't Jesus use the name of goats? Because goats are someone, if you go and command them, it won't hear. If you tell it to do one thing, it will continue to do something else. But sheep are not like that. Sheep are the ones who listen to the shepherd. So that's the reason Jesus continues to use that term sheep. My sheep hear my voice. He never says my goat hear my voice. So that's how the author ends this, by saying that there is a person, the person is Jesus Christ, who will judge all the earth. There is a place, the great and glorious throne of judgment, and there is a process, separation of saved from the lost. So that's how the author eventually says ki the great separation is going to happen. And in the end, in the 8th chapter, the author talks about the true security in a collapsing world. He's like, the world is collapsing, everything around us is collapsing. So what is the author briefly talks about the spirit of antichrist that is already in working. He's like, we have to be cautious enough to recognize that that is a spirit of antichrist that is already that is already there. And the author says that there is a term evangelical being misused, because what happens, he also used some great men, some great people, Oprah Winfrey in US. He gave the example. He said that people, even the learned people, they are like, they are accepting that there is a heaven, but they say there are multiple ways to heaven. So they want to say that, okay, when directly indirectly they want to say only Jesus Christ is not the way. There are other religions and everyone is pointing to one. So the author is saying that, no, the way is a narrow way, and the way is only one way, and the way is Jesus. Is what the author eventually puts forward it. And then again, the question in the end, the question the author raises up is like, whether the church will have to go through the tribulation or not. And then again, the author tries to say that, okay, when even if it goes through or even if it does not go through, the only thing that you do is you have to be prepared for it. And so that's how the author closes the book, saying that we are in a situation wherein, like, the great separation is going to happen, and we have to be prepared for it. And in the end, if you'll see the appendix section, so there is an interview between one of the reporter and the author, mainly about the Ukraine events. And then I would leave that to yourself. You can go back and then read. That's like the the reporter asks certain questions related to Ukraine Russia war to the author, and then the author answers it beautifully, tries to relate it through scriptures, and then tries to put it forward. So one thing which the author wants to very clearly portray through this message is, or to this book, is that the end times are near, and these are all the signs. And the beautiful part is, this entire book only speaks things related to Matthew 24 and nothing else. So he has only picked up Matthew 24. He has broken down to different subjects, and then he has tried to relate all the things that are happening in the world as of now, and then trying to give an indication that, hey, the return of the Lord is very, very near. So you have the ones who have not accepted Jesus Christ, they have to accept it. The one who have accepted it, they have to ensure that they are being watchful in all the areas of their life, so that when the Lord returns, it's going to be as a thief in the night. It's going to be so fast. It's going to be sudden. So like, we will be assured that at least. And then he's like, the most valuable thing in the world is the soul, and the enemy tries to hijack the soul. So we have to guard our soul from all this, so that we know that we are prepared for it. So that's how the author beautifully ends it. So I would definitely recommend you all to go through it. It's an interesting book. It's a small book, not a big one, 137 pages. So in this 137 pages includes the appendix as well, includes the interview as well. So literally, if you'll see, it's just 120 pages. You will find it interesting. You can read it. So thank you, Jamaica, for this opportunity. I hope at least at least I could do some justice in putting forward the use of this book.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you so much. It's really wonderful to see that the author has just picked up one chapter of Bible, Matthew 24, and there is so much content in this Matthew 24. And while you are connecting with the different events which is happening in the world around us, it seems such a vast subject. We can write or find out many more information regarding this. So when Jesus told that the end time is near, often many people who don't believe in God, or for that matter atheist or secularist people, they always ask, so when the apostles were there, they believed that in the time the end time will come, but now so many years, almost 2000 years has passed, but end times they mock it, but Jesus want each and every saved child of his in each and every age to be prepared. In each and every age, all these danger signals will be there. In spite of that, you be prepared for me. That's what God expects of us. So wonderful job, Joseph. You did a really good justice to this book, and you connected to the world scenario which is happening now. There is economic disturbances, war conflicts, even family conflicts, church conflicts, spiritual upheavals. You were talking about the spirit of Antichrist. So it's not that Antichrist is some separate person who is going to come. The spirit of Antichrist is working from that time onwards till now. It's working even in churches. Only many people's eyes are not open. So we have to have the good spiritual discernment to know that we abide to the sound doctrines which we have learned. We abide to the teachings of Christ, so that we may be prepared for his second coming. Just today I saw a news, and nowadays there are a lot of what I could see upheavals in the oceanic surfaces of the earth. Just today they have geologists have found a huge giant golden egg sort of thing. They don't know whether it is a egg of a ancient creature, or it is something else. They're trying to find it out, and there's a huge hole in the ocean, and a new ocean is coming up. There are so many things are they're trying to find, but they are unable to unravel the mysteries which God has kept even in the ocean itself, leave alone the earth. So God is the creator of this entire universe. We cannot fathom what he is doing, what is his plan. No, what he expects of us, be prepared, be holy for him, try to tell many about Christ. That motivation, if we continue our spiritual life, it would be really very good. So dear friends, do go for this book. And today we have as panelist Sam. Sam, would you be able to give your feedback?
I think he had messaged Daka saying that I have heard the review, but I can't speak now as I'm traveling. He said.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Joseph. Although it's a small book, you gave a very an intensive and prolonged review, which will definitely create the viewers to really go for this book. This book is easily available as a free PDF. So, dear friends, do go for this book, because we are in the end times. We need to read such kind of books of different perspectives of different authors. Everyone perspective might be different, but everyone are going to reach the same heaven only. So we are going to be prepared for God's second coming. How is our soul? How many souls we are going to turn to God? And just today we heard a very what I could say, a very sad news for the Christian community. A Christian apologist called Pradeep. He was killed. So this kind of thing is going not only in the world, but inside our country also. Whatever it is, whatever we are doing, it's just that we reach the eternal kingdom of God, because our stay in this world, it is like It's like a picnic. We are going to stay in this world for a few years only. In the few years that we live, let us leave a good testimony for God. So do go for this book, read it, and we will be back with you another week with another book reviewer. And I think next week we are going to do a book review of a missionary. So definitely we will see it. So till then, stay blessed in Lord. God bless you all. Thank you,
Thank you.
Joseph. Thank you for your
Thank
wonderful time. Thank you for your wonderful
Thanks,
review.
thanks,
Thank you, Ma.
thanks,
Thank you.
thanks, thanks.
Bye. Take care. Yeah.